Okay, starting part 13 now, we're going to talk about stress. And stress is something that we all deal with in this job. But knowing how to recognize the ill effects of stress and deal with it properly can ensure that you have a long and rewarding career in EMS. It doesn't all have to be down. So let's look at stress. As I said, EMS is a high stress job. We see a lot of things that most people in the general public will never imagine. And even our family, we see things and have to participate in helping people. And a lot of times, or sometimes, it doesn't work out in the best outcome for the patient because despite our best efforts, sometimes our patients don't make it, unfortunately. And that just causes more stress. And it's real important to realize that some of these things are already set in motion before you get there. And despite your best efforts that you put into it, you can work the perfect code, do everything by the book, and the patient still may not live. Well, that's not your fault that they did not live. You just have to do the best you can do. Alright, so it's really important to know the causes of stress and how to deal with them. And causes of stress come from many different areas. One, of course, is at work, responding to these emergency scenes, seeing a child die, or a grandmother pass away, or someone that's your own age pass away, or someone who's going to be paralyzed the rest of their life, or severely maimed the rest of their life, or deformed. All those things can bring great stress to you. Now, how do we deal with it? Well, generally, we will respond to stress in a systematic way, and everyone approaches stress pretty much in the same way. You may not realize it, but we do. And this is called the general adaptation syndrome. And this is where you have an alarm, which is a response to the stress. So whenever there's a stress, you're startled, your heart rate gets going, and you do whatever it is that counters that stress. So for us, it may be doing CPR when our patient passes out and goes into cardiac arrest. Or you may be startled at a perpetrator who just shows up on scene with a gun. That's stress there. That's a lot of stress, actually. And then there's reaction and resistance. So, so your reaction, and then how are you going to resist it? And then recovery or exhaustion. So you'll either recover from the stress, or if it's prolonged and continues to go on and on and on, you may suffer exhaustion, or eventually what we call provider fatigue, or also called burnout. So some of the signs of stress include increased respirations and heart rate, increased blood pressure, cool, clammy skin, dilated pupils, tense muscles, and perspiration. You know, we get that as young providers and stuff, we get that tunnel vision because we get those dilated pupils and the adrenaline keeps rolling. Well, stress isn't all bad. I mean, stress will help get us to a heightened state where we perform well, but under stress all the time does start to have its drawbacks. And having the release of endorphins and adrenaline constantly is not good for our well-being. So we have acute stress reactions, and an acute stress reaction occurs whenever that whatever it was, that event just happened, and maybe it's a new event. For say, let's say like getting startled at a haunted house. You may have a rush of endorphins, your heart rate goes up, your palms get clammy, and you get scared. And then there's the delayed stress reactions, which manifest after a stressful event. For say, let's put in emotion, you respond to a bus accident, a school bus accident, and there's several hurt children. Well, when you first get there, you are in EMT mode. You're there saving lives, doing what you got to do, doing the job. And then when it's over with, that's when it hits you. And you start to freak out and stress out over it and stuff. And then you have cumulative stress reactions. This is due to the prolonged reaction to the seeing someone die over and over and over, and or seeing children being hurt over and over and over, or whatever it is you do. It just keeps building up, building up, building up, and then it just becomes too much for you to handle. So a lot of times, you can have these stressors that happen sudden. I mean, we don't plan for mass casualty incidents. We don't get up in the morning and plan that we're going to lose a child. And all of this happens like just at a drop of a dime. And next thing you know, you're responding to a bleachers collapse, and you've got 100 hurt children, or a traumatic death of someone's child. Especially, what makes it worse is if you know the person and they're from the community that you live in. So all these acute stressors are going to elicit some type of emotional response from you, and you're going to have to react to it. And what ends up happening if you're not careful is you can, and it may not even be that if you're careful or not. If you're in these high stress situations, you can suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. And there's nothing wrong with this. It happens. It's just like getting the flu if you are around someone who has the flu. If you are exposed to a traumatic stressor, it may upset you, and it may affect you in a way that you need some help to get through it. And we have people here. We have people in our profession that specialize in helping us get through this. And if you are feeling any of the symptoms of PTSD, you need to talk to someone, because it's not a big deal to go talk to someone. PTSD is a big deal, but it's not a big deal to go ask for help. Trust me. So some of the symptoms can be depression. You have startle reactions where you wouldn't normally have it. You have dissociative episodes, and sometimes you have like the over response. People start getting overly protective, and you start reliving the situation over and over and over. And this happens whenever you fail to resolve the traumatic stress or grief. You may not be able to resolve it 100%, but there are exercises and there are things you can do to help you settle through this. So recognizing stress, it's very critical for us to recognize the signs of stress, which may be subtle. And we need to also recognize these signs in our partners and in our loved ones. So irritability towards coworkers, family, and friends, inability to concentrate, difficulty sleeping, sadness, anxiety, guilt or hopelessness, loss of appetite, and isolation. All these are signs of stress and can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder and, even worse, depression and so on. It is no big deal to ask for help. However, the syndromes and what's going on is a big deal. But asking for help is what people are there for. Your partner should want to help you. You need to want to help your partner, help them get better, and so that you can have a lifelong career doing this. Because what happens is, if you do not ask for help, it will continue to pile up, and you'll eventually possibly lose your job. Somebody may get hurt. Your partner may get hurt. It may affect your family life, your home life. It may affect your potential earnings and everything. So it's just best to ask for help. So next, what we're going to do in part 14, we're going to talk about stress management. Now that we know how to recognize the signs of stress, we're going to learn a little bit about how to manage it.